Tell me if you relate to this. Every time a new month comes around, it's time for me to set up my bullet journal. I can never think of a theme. That's why in today's video, I decided to share with you my favorite hacks for finding creative and original theme ideas. And if you stick around to the end, I'll even give you a specific way to find some bullet journal themes for your May 2022 video. If you're new here, my name is Sophie and I make bullet journal inspiration and educational videos like this every week, so make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss when I post a new video. Let's just get right into it. So the first place that I always go to look for theme ideas is social media, and I'm sure you guys do too. I mean, with Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, Google Images, there are all sorts of people on the internet who have been doing bullet journaling for years and have lots of themes under their belt, mine included, so looking through social media is a great way to find inspiration. If the question is what to search, one thing that I like to do is add the word aesthetic after everything. So we've already talked about on my channel how aesthetic is like my favorite word in the dictionary, but for example, if I wanted to do a theme about puppies, sometimes I would just look up like puppies aesthetic. Doing something like that can help you look for something broad like spring aesthetic or beach aesthetic, and at least will give you a general idea before you start narrowing it down into a specific theme idea. And even if you want to keep it broad, that's great too, and that's exactly what I did this past April with my April 2022 bullet journal theme. I basically just looked up spring aesthetic and I came up with like silky dresses and flowers and daisies, and with the stickers that I got from the company, I just came up with a springy theme that I actually really enjoyed, but it didn't even have to be that specific, and it came straight from the internet. By the way, if you're interested, all of my bullet journal plan themes will be linked in a playlist down below so you can grab all the inspiration you want. But one thing with grabbing inspiration, especially direct to inspiration like a recreation off of someone from the internet, is you have to make sure to credit them. So if that means by posting a picture of that theme on Instagram, you tag them to let your followers know that they inspired you or something along those lines, just make sure you give the original artist some appreciation for giving the idea. I promise we do take it as a compliment. Another idea I have is starting off with a specific color palette or piece of stationery. So sometimes when a new season comes around, I will want to do a specific color. Like for example, fall draws us all to warm colors and burgundies and greens and oranges and browns, you know. So a theme based on those colors could inspire you to create something based on the month that you're in. Another thing that I like to do, especially last year, I remember, is doing different color palettes for every month. So if in July I just did a blue color palette, then I'd want to do the complete opposite for August, like do something pink or red. That way I had some contrast in my bullet journal and I wasn't just using the same colors like every week. Think of things that can fall under the color range that you're looking for, whether that be a specific animal, drawing like an object, or just general broad ideas like how red is associated with Valentine's Day. I've noticed that helps me find a lot of inspiration very quickly. For example, in August of last year, 2021, I wanted to do all primary colors for my bullet journal theme, and I actually added lavender in there, so technically it's not a primary color, but because I focused specifically on those colors, I decided to make my cherry theme a little unconventional, so the leaves were blue instead of green. So you can definitely mix around with colors, but that's just an example that I've used in the past that's helped me come up with a theme that was actually my favorite of all the ones I did last year. Another thing is pick a piece of stationery that you want to use and roll with that. So let's say that you just bought a new pack of Tombow brush pens and you want to experiment with them, or maybe you just bought a sticker sheet from your favorite sticker shop, Fingerprints, cough cough. You can definitely use something like that to inspire a theme in your bullet journal, and it makes it easier because you already have half the stationery lying out in front of you and you don't have to go search for the right colors or the right stickers or washi tape or something like that. By the way, if you're interested, my Etsy shop is linked down below, so you can go check out all the stickers that I sell over there. This might be an obvious example, but another thing that I do when thinking of a bullet journal theme is just focus on things that I enjoy, things that I like. That could be your favorite color, your favorite flower, your favorite animal, your favorite place, like a restaurant. Just things that you found yourself drawn to in everyday life will obviously be a good thing to put in your bullet journal. For example, last November I did a Up theme inspired by the movie Pixar Up, and that was a whirlwind of emotions, I will tell you. But before I settled on that theme, at the same time I was also getting obsessed with Billie Eilish because I was listening to her new album Happier Than Ever like over and over, and so I was going back and forth between doing a Billie Eilish inspired theme or doing a Pixar Up theme. Another thing is December of last year I did a Cirque du Soleil theme because I had just gone to a Cirque du Soleil performance at the end of November and wanted to translate my new recent obsession over the acrobats into my bullet journal. A bonus to this is you can kind of visually obsess over the thing. Like, I was so into Cirque du Soleil, so I got to draw all the performers on my bullet journal, and that was really exciting. But one con is if your obsession like phases out, then you might be bored and stuck with a bullet journal theme that's not your favorite anymore. But it was fun while it lasted and kind of helps you remember like what you were into at the time when you made that bullet journal theme. This is a similar concept but slightly different, and that is I recommend you to kind of look at what's trending. This might be a little niche, but hear me out. Keeping with the times can be a good way to keep your bullet journal as a time capsule and remember what's going on in the world at the time that you're making that bullet journal theme and at the time of the year. So similar to like looking at your favorite things, look at the trends that are going on, whether that be in the bullet journaling world or in the actual real life world, and maybe try to make a theme out of that. For example, some trends that were going on in the real life world in the end of 2020 was Among Us, obviously, and so people made themes about Among Us at the end of 2020. Same thing happened with Squid Games. On the contrary though, in the bullet journaling world, Amanda Rach Lee, the queen of bullet journaling, made a hot air balloon theme in April of 2018, and then it seems like after that everyone and their grandmother has been making a hot air balloon theme sometime in their bullet journal, which no shame if you do, they are cute, So just to give you an idea, currently in the bullet journal world, Dutch doors are trending, and I don't know why, but for some reason someone made them and now everyone's making Dutch doors. I'm talking like 3 in a row of different sizes, starting with your monthly Dutch doors. And I admit I did fall into the trap because I made a reading journal video a couple weeks ago and I did use Dutch doors to kind of try out and see how I would like the different layers. So if you want to get inspired by something like that, that is something that's kind of trending right now in the bullet journaling world. Another thing in the real life world though that's trending is like aesthetics. So you know, dark academia aesthetic, which I also fell into at the end of last year, and Y2K aesthetics. So if you find something that's calling for you, that's being popularized, so there's a lot of examples of it, you know, like around you, that could be a really easy thing to recreate in your bullet journal and kind of remind you that like, yeah, at the end of 2020, I was going through a dark academia phase or a Among Us phase, something like that. This next tip I have yet to officially try, although I did make a YouTube video about it like a year ago, but that is to recreate one of your old bullet journal themes. I recommend taking inspiration from your old self because, at least for me, when I first started bullet journaling, I was so pumped, so excited, and I was trying all these new layouts and using all these new techniques and just trying to immerse myself in the bullet journaling world as best as I can. I'm not saying I'm not doing that now. I do enjoy bullet journaling, obviously. I wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't be making content for you guys, but I definitely had a passion about it then that I don't have now while being in sort of an art block, you know? So if you take inspiration at your past self, you might find layouts that you were using that you haven't used in a while, or new color palettes or new techniques that you really liked doing but you haven't done in a while. Maybe you gave up on sleep trackers because they just weren't working for you, but now looking back at your old spreads, you kind of realize how useful they were. You might want to bring them back into your current bullet journal. Or specifically theme ideas, maybe you had a theme idea that you did a couple years ago that has a lot of nostalgia attached to it, but not necessarily the aesthetic part because you weren't as good at drawing or making bullet journal spreads, but now you can take that same nostalgia and replicate it, but this time with better techniques, with better drawings, and recreate a bullet journal spread that you would still love to look at. Again, I didn't officially do this in my bullet journal, but I did make a YouTube channel video about it, so comment below if you want a part 2 to that because that was actually really interesting and I would love to go back and recreate some of my old and questionable bullet journal themes from a couple years ago. Okay, so this tip is so important. Okay, so if you hear anything in this video, this is the one you should listen to, and that is keep a list. Sometimes I'm just like going about life, you know, enjoying nature, and I'll just pull out my phone and snag a picture because like something is pretty or catches my eye. And even if you don't like take pictures of things, these are things that you know that you enjoy looking at, that you think are pretty, think are aesthetic, you think are interesting, and would make into a great theme. But sometimes I'm looking at something or I take a screenshot of something on my phone or I'm inspired by something, but it's just the wrong time to make the theme. I'm sure you agree with me. You wouldn't want to make a theme about butterflies in the middle of December, nor would you want to make a Christmas theme in June. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So sometimes specific themes just kind of fit into specific parts of the year depending on, you know, where you live and what you do. My suggestion is making a list. I have a huge list on my notes app where I just keep all these random bullet journal ideas, and when I'm lost trying to think of one, I will go immediately there and just scroll through and try to find maybe something that inspires me. Occasionally I actually have found something that I thought of in the past, and now is actually a good time to make the theme. For example, last October I had a pirate theme, which off the walls, but we don't have to talk about about that. The point is that I had a pirate theme, and I'd actually gone through my notes and saw a pirate theme in there from like a couple months beforehand, and decided I actually wanted to follow through with that. And so I ended up making the pirate theme and at least enjoying the cover page. Another thing, and this is kind of like a sub tip, but I like to save art inspiration in my Pinterest boards. If you don't have Pinterest, I recommend getting it because the algorithm is fabulous, and it's basically less about following people and more just following your ideas. And I could talk for hours on Pinterest. It is a great platform, and you should go follow me on Pinterest because I post my bullet journal spreads over there too. But don't mind me and my shameless plugs. Basically, all I'm saying is Pinterest is a great place to find ideas and store ideas, and the algorithm will of course push out different ideas similar, so you can keep getting inspired by your old self, look at your old board, see your art inspiration, and that can also inspire you to make a theme from something that you've saved in the past. Now, if you'll remember at the beginning of this video, I emphasized not only finding bullet journal theme ideas, but finding original and creative bullet journal theme ideas. So let's say you found some inspiration, but you don't necessarily want to recreate, you don't want to like tag inspiration from one person. Here are ways that you can make your bullet journal theme more personal to you and more original. You can change up a theme and make it your own by adding a different color palette. So using uncharacteristic colors like pink frogs or something could make it obviously original, or you could just add different colors together that you don't often see. One of my favorite color palettes to mix together is brown and blue, but I don't see enough people doing that because it kind of breaks color theory. Technically it makes sense because they're opposites on the color wheel, but I just see no one use it. But it seemed like just a pretty color palette that I wish more people did. So, you know, just find unique color palettes or different colors for your objects that maybe no one else has used before. You can also look at a broader or more specific view. So say for example, it's February and you wanted to do a theme inspired by Valentine's Day, but you don't want to be one of those cliche people who just do like flying hearts or something. You can kind of narrow in the Valentine's Day viewpoint and only do a theme specifically on chocolates. That could still resemble and insinuate Valentine's Day, but it's not very direct and it's a little more original and a little less boring, in my opinion. On the contrary though, you can also look at a broader vision. So say for example, like this past theme I did in April, I was doing a daisies theme and I really enjoyed it, but if I wanted to look on a broader perspective, I could do a meadows theme, you know, like rolling meadows and flowers and stuff, and just so that you're not drawing like the same flower multiple times every page for the entire month. And another thing is you can add personal touches. Like if you were in fact doing a puppies theme like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, instead of just drawing like random bulldogs roaming around France, you could draw your own dog, which would actually be kind of personal and cute, especially if it was like their birthday or something. Now that I think about it, that's actually a great idea. So someone try that and tag me because that'd be really cute. If one of these tips were helpful, scroll down to the comments below and tell me which one was your favorite or possibly one that you've already been using. But we're not done here yet because May is just around the corner and I know some of you guys are lost trying to think of a theme idea, which is why over on my Instagram at The Mango Studio, I post monthly carousels with different bullet journal theme ideas for that particular month coming up that you're welcome to grab from. So go check me out over on Instagram because I have loads of ideas for you over there. So you have the theme idea, you have the color palette. What's next? You need the spread ideas, which is why I recommend going and checking out this video up here where I explain some beginner bullet journal supplies and spreads that will help make your bullet journal even better.